Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with episode number 54. Looking to score a pilot this pilot season or all year. You know, you'll take one year. It doesn't have to be this pilot season. It'll be whenever. I hope you all enjoyed last week's episode. If you didn't listen to it, it's a really important episode. Listen, we have to protect ourselves, our bodies, make sure that you are safe, that you are helping to keep others safe, just like, you know, safety first. Safety first, everybody. But I'm super excited about this week's episode. We have back Miata Edoga, and we are going to be discussing her career. She is of a particular age category, and she is coming back into full swing, really putting some time, energy, and focus onto her acting career. She's somebody that really came in full swinging in the first part of her career after college, and then, like so many people in this industry, really just got hammered by bad jobs, some money situations that weren't great. And if you haven't listened to Miata's first episode, we talk about that. So go ahead and stop what you're doing. Stop right now. If you're like just joining this podcast, you're like, I'll listen to this episode. I want you to pause this episode, go back to her first episode, which is season 4, episode 1. So go back and listen to that. I'll wait. Okay, you're back. Great. So you can get a little bit of a sense of what she had gone through. And like many people, she decided to go ahead and get some of her life stuff figured out. So get her money on track, get her family going. And so we talk a lot about how you can sort of re-enter into the business after a break. I know this is a really big topic for so many of you. If you are a person who has not sort of bounced out and come back in, this is still a great episode for you. It's a leveling up episode. So we focus on a few key things. First, we focus on casting, then we focus on materials, then we focus on relationships with casting directors. You know, Miata's been in this business for a minute. She has relationships with people who are of value, and then everyone's a value, guys, but a value to her career. And then we talk a little bit about execution. So we really cover the bases of so many things that really address holes that people have in their careers and their pursuit. Because if you've got great casting, but you don't have headshots that say that you have great casting and you don't have the footage, even if you have great execution, nobody is going to bring you in. Or if you have great materials and headshots and great materials in a reel and you have great execution, but nobody knows that you exist, you're still not going to get in. So when I talk to actors about what problems they're really facing, it seems like the big answer is always like just getting into the rooms, getting into the rooms. So we really address that. I think you'll love it. Miata is, as always, magnificent. This episode is brought to you by Greg Saffel, singinglessonslosangeles.com. That's Greg Saffel at singinglessonslosangeles.com. This episode is also brought to you by Carla Zuniga. Carla Zuniga does my hair, and she's fantastic. All right, everybody. I hope that you're on your way to an audition. I got so many posts from so many of you who are on set, who booked things, who were doing self-tape practice. I'm so proud of all of you. Super excited. Book it. Book the job. Book it.
Audrey helps actors because they don't know anything.
Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors, and we courageously have back the one, the only
Miata Edoga.
Hi, Miata.
Hi.
She is ready.
I'm nervous.
I know. I can tell she's really nervous. You guys, I have never seen Miata this nervous before.
I really
She's got her shit together always, and I can tell you're a little shaky. So.
On the way here, I was like, I felt like I was going to a big audition.
It's true. Now, listen, it's not going to be that intimidating, but I understand emotions are high. It means a lot to you. And what we're really going to be focusing on today, you guys, for Miata is, like so many of you, Miata is a person who came to this town, hit this town as hard as she could for as long as she could. And as you heard in the last episode, just found herself emotionally, financially, spiritually Baroque.
Oh,
yeah, that's it. Right?
Financially broken, but yeah, really energetically spiritually broken.
Yes. I'd like to then begin. We'll talk about, being competitive in the Olympics as you are, where you are with the resources that you have. Okay, great. So one of the resources that I think you have, which is so great, is your casting. I think your casting is really great. We'll talk a little bit about what that is, I think, from my perspective.
Great.
And also, I think this attitude that you have is so great. You are clearly so educated. You are bringing to the table, I think, a sense of self that I think is really exciting. If I were a casting director, I would be very excited by this quality that you bring. I also think it's very now. I think it's on trend. Talk to them a little bit about your landscape. I like to say, like, where are you? Are you union? Do you audition? Do you have agents? All of that sort of stuff. And then where are you looking to maybe be?
Okay, great. So yes, I am union. I was SAG, as soon as I came to Los Angeles.
Right.
And I'm also in equity and AGVA, believe it or not, the American Guild of Variety Artists, because I did a lot of singing when I was growing up. I do not have agents. When I came out, I would really say, like, the first 10 years of my career, I never had a hard time getting agents. I just had a hard time getting agents that in any way seemed to matter.
Yes, right.
So,
such a great distinction, I want to say.
Yeah.
So for many of you who, email me and you're like, I'm panicked, I'm missing agent season. I'm like, okay, agent season is a particular thing for a level of agent and above. And if you don't have credits, if you don't have, some clout behind you, you're probably not actually needing to worry about agent season. So you had this sort of level of agent.
Yeah. And what I felt in those first 10 years is I felt like that's what I kept putting energy towards, getting the next agent.
I see.
And then I realized, oh, wait, I'm still having to hustle just as much as I was before. I'm not getting auditions now, right? So that was a part of the transition for me was, when I hit rock bottom financially, was also saying, okay, I'm not putting energy towards this anymore because until I have credits that in any way matter, clearly just getting agents doesn't mean anything.
It's this really interesting race that a lot of actors play. It's really, I think, actually against other actors, where another actor will land through whatever variety of reasons a high quality agent and get auditions of a certain capacity. And so then the actor thinks that they need to get the agent like their friend has so they can get those auditions. And I need you to realize, like, what do you have to offer? And if you're like, but my friend, I don't care about your friend.
Right.
I really don't. I can't. Your friend's not the issue here. What do you have for an agent to sell?
Right.
Can they get you in the room?
Right.
So part of what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how we can get you to the next place that you want to be in the growth of your career. So tell me what that looks like to you.
So I'm not 100% sure what the approach to it is.
Great.
As a theater actor, and, that was what I was trained as, I really love television. I love the idea of getting the opportunity to build a character over time, right? And so what's super exciting to me is this idea that I could start to book some smaller roles on television, right? Which seems to, certainly it feels like an agent might be helpful in that if things have changed. That's what I don't really know, because again, it's not like I have the resume. I have some co-stars, but it's not like I have the resume.
Well, if we're talking about competing with women that are your age and race right now, right, that you are competing with some women. I mean, so we're talking about survivors.
Right.
Right. they are on a level of fierce because they have had to not drown, basically, for the last however many decades, right? So you are up against that group. However, I'm not sure how much of that group is still going for co-stars.
Right.
So one thing that I will say to those of you who are sort of re-emerging or, have sort of been maybe doing some theater for the last X amount of decades, or like Miata, maybe, got some life stuff together while you kind of kept your hand in the jar a little bit, but are really sort of coming in full swing, right? That there will be a place where maybe getting co-stars is going to be semi-accessible to you because the group of actresses in your category are maybe no longer doing co-stars. They're not saying yes to those opportunities anymore.
Great.
Right? That is possible. That said, I'm not super sure how true that is, particularly for women of color, specifically African American. That would be a point to me of information. So one thing that I think would be just good to know is how many of these roles are, first of all, are even actually billed as co-stars. Because something to know is that, this idea about what's a co-star and what's a guest star is pretty much obliterated now, right? There's no reality on that. You can book, and I have booked a 4-line guest star before, and I have booked multi-episode, large scene co-stars before, right? So I find it's actually a matter of who your agent is and what your credits are.
Got it.
Okay. So part of what I'm curious about is, are the women that you're competing against that are taking these seemingly smaller roles, are they actually co-star billed? Or are they guest star billing? And the only way you're going to be able to see that is by looking at the credits at the end.
Oh, okay.
Because you can maybe sleuth for their Actors Access and find it, and they may be lying about the billing on their Actors Access, and not even lying. A lot of times, cast directors will give them permission to do that, right? But what I'm really looking for is, what does it say in the credits?
Okay.
And then if it says co-star, I think it would be very smart for you to then look at their full resume. Are the women who are getting these co-star roles in your category, are they women with large resumes? I'm just sort of looking to see what that landscape is. Then a thing that I'd really like to talk about is when an actor is talking about co-stars, and I really want to hit this home to all of you guys, that's not exciting to an agent. And it's very easy to do because you're just like, I just need to grab a couple co-stars. I think prepping yourself for co-stars is a small game that's not exciting to people, though it may be realistic. The better attitudinal shift that I'd like to challenge you to start to make in your mind is prepping yourself for a series. And in so doing, maybe we land at some co-stars and guest stars.
And that lights me up.
Great.
I mean,
Excellent.
that completely lights me
That's
up.
exciting to you.
Yeah,
Great.
hugely.
I was like, I love when actors talk to me and they're like, and I just never go out for co-stars or guest stars and I'm like, your agent doesn't give a fuck about your guest star. That's $800 to them, right?
Right.
They do not care about your $800. They care about your $500,000 year where they take $50,000, right?
Right.
So I think, especially, I have to say, with how competitive it seems to be in the agent market right now, actors coming in today, they really are like, I just can't get an agent. And I think that's probably due to the packaging deal that's happening that the writers are suing about. Is then it leaves a much smaller percentage of the pie for the other agents, right? But that does mean to me that anything less than I'm worth a series, I don't know is gonna get you momentum.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about my favorite thing, which I already set you up for, which is, you guys, I had her try an app called Toggle, which I really recommend. I'm on it. And it's a time tracking device that's super easy. You just like hit a little play button and then it records your time and you can categorize it in these areas of your life. So I, Audrey, have categorized acting pursuit as one category. Then many of you would have as a separate category acting craft. I want you guys to start to have an awareness that those are two separate. I think we've done ourselves a real disservice in believing that the people that are teaching us how to act are the same people who should be teaching us how to book jobs. Right. I just don't think that is current anymore. There certainly are still some acting teachers with clout who can get you agents and get you meetings and whatever, but I just don't have the experience anymore, as you can tell by the many episodes of this podcast, that just being good in the training that you have is necessarily enough anymore.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I stopped believing that was
a major correlation
many years ago. Yeah. I feel incredibly confident around my training. And I don't. And so here's what I believe. When I get the opportunities, I show up prepared, but all the work needs to be done on getting the opportunities.
Great. So for many of you, you do need to continue really to work on the craft. And the craft for you is going to me, be one section of time spent, and then another section is going to be pursuit of the career. Now, there are some really exciting cheating ways that you can blend the two that I do in terms of time. You can work on something that is currently casting to check your craft, and then if it is something that listen to me, you guys, don't go sending a bunch of bullshit to your agents. Like, if you really feel that this is worth them sending forward. Like, if you truly feel that they will watch this and they'll be like, oh my goodness, this is the tape we have been looking for. Anything short of that is just a little bit neurotic. So it can't be like, that's good or that's solid. It has to be like, this is the ticket. So that's something that I think is a good way to cheat, working on your craft at the same time as working on the pursuit of getting jobs and booking jobs as an actor. If you want growth in an area and you're not then able to make time for growth in that area, then I think we are working unrealistically.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You got me started tracking, and it was really interesting because it sends you a report each week.
Yes.
But also I looked at like the whole month of October.
Yes, I did the same thing.
And there were not really surprises, right? Abundance Bound
Sure.
Was like half the hours of the whole month. So that was interesting to see it so blatantly.
Yes.
Like, oh, that's half my life, right? That I'm spending doing that. And then I think that family ended up coming in
Number
second.
2.
Not really surprising. My children are getting older, but my son is homeschooled, and so that's a lot of work. And then self-care did come in third.
Good.
Which I thought was great and kind of surprising. I am trying to spend a little bit more time sleeping.
Yes.
Having the nap that sort of rejuvenates me.
Right.
So then acting came in next, but there was a bit of a cheat because, as I shared, I booked something in October. And so it got a chunk of hours for that. Good. That I knew, being honest, without that
would not have been present.
It wouldn't have been as certainly even really on the
wouldn't have blipped.
It wouldn't really have blipped.
Okay, it would have been the gray section. There's a gray section for all the other stuff. Okay, good. Okay,
exactly.
Great. So that's really what I want to talk about with you. Is I want to talk about how you can, over the next I would say probably 6 months, start to slowly and surely increase the amount of time we're spending on pursuit of acting. So I want to share a little bit here. What I love about talking to you, Miata, is that we can really geek out about strategy because I know that you'll hear it and you'll understand it and you'll understand why it works.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that. I have a target goal of 30 hours a week on my acting pursuit. Wow. And the reason I have that target goal is because I want to have a full-time job as an actor. California minimum of a full-time job, what is a full-time job, is 30 hours a week.
30 hours.
So I do not feel it is logical for me to assume that I am ready to receive that kind of time commitment in actual receiving of jobs if I do not also make that time for the pursuit of jobs.
That's really powerful. I get it.
Okay, good.
I get it.
Because I really believe that you can't receive what you're not ready to have yet.
Yeah. What you're not standing in integrity.
That's right. Truly.
Right? 30 hours. That's what it would mean to be working.
That is what it would mean. And in truth, this is my thought for you and for everyone listening as far as being a series regular. Series regulars are actually spending like 70 hours a week on set.
Right.
And that's the level I want to achieve in terms of stamina. I have a real point of view as a performer about stamina. And the kind of series regular that I desire to be is one of kindness, one of presence, one of energy, one of enthusiasm. And I think I have the capacity to do it, but I do really want to train myself on the road up to be able to be on the top list of the call sheet and also be the kind of person on the top of the call sheet that I want to be.
Yeah.
I think it's unrealistic for me to think that I will be working at a 10-hour a week capacity and then be able to handle the pressure and the fatigue of the 60 to 70 hour a week of the series regular. But wait, Miata, wait. I just adore you. But I have to interrupt you.
Help me. I need some help.
And now it's time for listener questions.
I'm so scared.
This listener question is brought to you by Carla Zuniga Hair. That's Carla Zuniga Hair. Very apropos for this particular question, as you will see. I've talked about Carla before. I will talk about her again. If you need precision, if you've got curly hair, if you need a haircut that can do all sorts of things, if you need the ability for it to be malleable in what it does, I have a hair style that needs to be both a little funky and a little cute for some things, but also go mom, but also be correct for period stuff. So that's sort of a cacophony of hairstyles that I'm trying to wrangle. I also have gone to her, she's cut, I have bang pieces that she's cut, things like that. And I just couldn't recommend somebody qualified for your hair more. I mean, this is a visual art and everybody I send to Carla just loves her. So if you're in LA and you're like, oh my God, my hair's a mess, so many of you are, you're not investing in the hair in the way that you need to be. Now, some of you don't need to, but for those of you who really do, I can't recommend her more highly. She's extremely professional, really careful. I know sometimes I go to hairstylists and they just sort of like, they're their own artist. So they're like, I want to do your hair like this. And you're like, oh God, that's not at all what we decided upon. And what I love so much about what Carla does is she goes very slow and steady. And if you're doing, especially if you're doing something drastic, she just starts and she's like, what about here? And they're like, I think we can go a little bit further. And then she goes a little further and she's like, what about here? I'm like, I think we can stop right there. And she's like, okay, great. She does that with bangs. So I know a lot of you, you get bangs for the first time, or maybe the person who cuts your bangs is, cutting them too short or too long. It's a fine art. So whatever your hair needs are, I couldn't recommend her more highly. She's fantastic. She has transitioned out of Benjamin's salon and is now taking pilots on her own. So she just recommends that you reach out to her directly. She's on Instagram, Carla Zuniga Hair, to schedule an appointment. She just wanted to have a better price point for everybody, which I so recommend. So contact her at CARLAZ as in zebra, U as in unicorn, NIGAHAIR, Carla Zuniga Hair on Instagram.
Hi, my name is Alia. I'm listening from Hawaii. First of all, I want to thank you so much for what you're doing for the industry. It's brought so much light, understanding, motivation, and excitement to my life. And it's really propelled me to know what the next step is to take control. My question kind of has sub-questions, I guess. I'm mixed ethnicity and pretty racially ambiguous. The top I get are Arab, Portuguese, Spanish, etc. I'm naturally blonde, though, so I can pull Caucasian pretty strongly when I lean into it. My actual ethnicity is British, Indian, Pakistani, Norwegian, British. I've had every hair color in the rainbow, but I'm living in Hawaii, so my agent has me blonde because we have so many locals, Hawaiians, and Asian mixes, and hardly any blonde, so I create that necessary diversity in this small market. In August, I have meetings with New York City and LA agents, and in December, I will start auditioning and submitting for master's programs. So from what I understand from your show, as well as from stalking the recent graduating classes for the schools I want to attend, they tend to want more ethnic than Caucasian boys and girls. So I'm wondering if I should dye my hair and lean into that side. What are your thoughts? Thank you so much. Bye.
So, hey there. I love this question. Hair can be such an important and impactful thing on a person's career. I would say that it sounds like you do have a niche going for yourself in Hawaii that is probably working for you. I want to be very honest when it comes to what grad schools are looking for. I have no idea. I'm not particularly pro grad school in general. So if you are looking at a grad school, I would very much do your research and see if you can actually reach out to people who've graduated in the last 4 or 5 years. I've had some luck with people who've been like, hey, I'm thinking about going to blah, blah, blah grad school. What do you think? And then I've just gotten them in touch with some recent grads who've been able to, I think, shed a light on whether or not that extremely expensive investment in time, energy, and money is worth it to you. So I just want to sort of caveat that with this discussion. So I'm not going to really address the grad school thing. Don't know about that. However, I will talk about if you're going into New York or Los Angeles market. It's a tricky thing to do. And what we're talking about with Miata, I think, is really important. It sounds like you have a very diverse look, meaning that you can play a lot of different ethnic backgrounds because you are representative of a lot of different ethnic heritages. Heritages? Is that a word? Heritages. Sure. So for you, I recommend what I'm recommending Miata do, which is really to go and watch a bunch of shows in the markets that you're targeting. So if you're going to shoot in Los Angeles, I would pick 10 shows that are things that you think that you could be on, whether that's comedy, drama, a mix of both, but are filming and shooting in the Los Angeles area. And then just see if you see anybody like you. And just see if you see anyone that looks like you that has blonde hair, or if you see anyone that looks like you but has black hair. And just see if you can get a consensus of what maybe the most advantageous choice for that particular market would be. I really address that in this episode. I think it's the best way to do your research, but I really want you to do your own research and learn how to research properly for your own career, because trends are going to continue to move and shift and grow. And who knows, for all I know, there may be a trend right now of women that look like you who have blonde hair, and I just don't know about it. So given your age range, given your resume, and given the market that you're looking into, I would investigate what overall look you think would be most advantageous to you. All right. I hope that's helpful.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
So you guys, so she sent me a lot of her materials, which I perused so enthusiastically. And so she sent me her reels, her headshots, her Actors Access quick link, some self-tapes, a list of shows that are currently casting in Los Angeles, because just to clarify for everyone, I really think that when you're looking at really building your career, you need to look at the location in which you are currently filming, because at Miata's resume right now, they're not going to fly her to Vancouver to do a show right at this moment, right? But, not that they're not, but it's not as likely. And so I'd like to put the chips where I think the favor is most high. So the list that Miata has is Rookie, NCIS, NCIS LA, 911, This Is Us, Stumptown, SWAT, Grey's Anatomy, How to Get Away with Murder, Lucifer, SEAL Team, Glow, Barry, Blackish, Mixedish, Grownish, all those, right? I agree. Beverly Hills 90210, For All Mankind, The Kaminsky Method, Goliath, Euphoria, Bosch, and All American. I think this is a great list, okay? I think it's too long.
Okay.
So one of the first things that I would have you do is really taking a look at this list and narrowing it down to, I would say, half.
Okay.
I think 20 is too much focus. And as you talk about in your class, you have focus areas of growth. And if the more you have, it's actually not a competition to have more. That when you have more, it sort of splits the focus.
Got it.
So I think we can also break some of this into showrunners, which I think is great for you as well. Like, I think in general, Shonda should be on your list. I think Ryan Murphy should be on your list, right? Mm-hmm. I think the World of Blackish, Mixedish, Grownish should also be on your list. I think those are really great categories for you. Let's talk about priority one, which is getting really familiar with your market. Okay, some things that you can do to put in your hours while you're doing other hours. Some people don't like the multitasking, but I'm a fan. I would like for you to be weekly listening to, I'll give you 3 podcasts, and these are things you can do while you're driving. Absolutely. So this is a good way to put in your hours for your commuting hours, right? One is The Business with Kim Masters. Mm-hmm. Hollywood Reporter's Top 5. And the third is the writer podcast, which your husband probably already listens to, called Script Notes.
Yes, he loves that.
Yeah, all the writers, they nerd out over Script Notes. And the reason I like these 3 is they talk a lot about what shows are happening, what showrunners are getting things picked up, and that's generally just a good thing to always be knowing. So this is like really knowing your marketplace. If you learn that so-and-so got fired from blah, blah, blah show, you just have more context for it, okay? Another thing that you can do, I like to have some high energy things to put in my hours and some low energy things, because I don't always have a bunch of energy to do high energy things, right? So once you have your 10, I would absolutely, for you as a person who's re-entering and impinging, binging these shows, getting a sense of tone, getting a sense of casting, getting a sense, Miata, of wardrobe. For me, if I'm noticing that everyone on a particular show just looks like really Midwest sad sack, well, I need to know that.
Yeah.
Right? And if on another show, I know that they're really looking sharper, cooler, or brighter, I really adhere to that. That's because of something that Amy Linden really pounds into your head, which I so agree with, which is if you don't look like you're on the show and if you don't sound like you're on the show, you're not going to be on the show. And this is a really important difference between what I think are the people that book and the people who don't. Amy says the difference is the people that book just have more information. And so what you're looking at here is to just collect data. And you won't even know yet how much data you're collecting, but it will start to become clear to you. A lot of what I'm having you do is prepping yourself. This is what I call the prep work before the audition, because the audition window is so fast that I need to have as much work done before the audition. And particularly for you, time and energy are particular resources that we really need to hold on to. So anything that we can do to front load some of the work having already been done, I think is really advantageous because it's going to save you the time when you get the audition from having to go back and watch 3 episodes of Grownish because you've already got that, right? And you maybe watch a preview and just really remind yourself of how this goes. But even things like, the character arc, right? I know the character arc this season of The Resident. I just know what it is. I know what Emily Vandekamp is struggling against. I get it. And so if I were to audition for a guest star, I know that the guest star arc always mirrors an arc for the series regular of that episode.
I've never heard that.
Oh my God, we're gonna get
Never
real.
heard that.
Get real. So in knowing what it is, then you already know, oh, okay, so this is this guest star. Oh, okay, so this is this character. And I know this character's arc this season is this thing. And so I'm relating to that in this way. Got it?
Yeah, because you've done the homework.
Because you've done the homework, right? Mm-hmm. I'm certain I book jobs because of that. I'm able to put the time into the actual work on the text and the audition, and I have to spend less time figuring out the story arc.
Right.
Facility is great, but if you're not using your facility to tell the story, and not to tell the story that you've made up, but the story that the actual writer of the episode wants to arc. And if you don't know what that arc is, then all the facility in the world isn't going to help you because you're not applying that facility to the arc you need to actually help them tell. Okay, so that's one thing that we can be doing to get really clear. I want you also to be looking at what women are looking like because there's all these trends, right? The latest example I've been using is I'd been on Avail for 13 commercials in a row and hadn't booked. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And I called my agents and they were like, your booking number or your Avail numbers are some of the highest in the agency. And I'm like, great. So finally I sat down and I really watched everything for a year and a half of auditioning and being pinned. I watched everything I've been called back for and everything that I had on Avail for. And I noticed a trend had changed that I hadn't caught up with, which was that everyone's hair was just kind of long and sad and shapeless. And all of the outfits were kind of sad also. And I was used to a commercial world of this cute commercial haircut and then this cute colors and patterns and cute things happening that were bing. And suddenly it changed to grays, blues, black. I would never have worn black into a commercial audition. The hair was just sort of shapeless and generally sad. And so I changed my haircut for the next time and I went and got a sad outfit and I booked my next commercial audition. I booked that job.
Are you guys hearing this?
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy, but it's also a level of study.
Yes.
That, let's just be honest, most people aren't doing.
Well, people don't know to do it, I think. Yeah. And it is a lot of confront. It is confront to watch your stuff, and not be emotionally horrified by it. But I'm really looking at when you're on Avail all the time, you're doing your job. You're working as properly as you know how to work. But there was something very real that I wasn't aware of. Right. And a trend had changed unbeknownst to me. And I needed to just catch up with that trend. That's all. Wow. That's part of why I really want you looking at that stuff in addition to. Right. Okay? Then I think a really intelligent thing for you to do is when you see anyone who has a role that you think you can do, I want you to stalk them. I want you to see who are their agents? Who are their managers? And I actually, for you, don't really care the size of the role right now. Okay. Obviously, if it's Angela Bassett, let her be Angela Bassett. But, short of that, right? For you, who are their agents? Who are their managers? Start to keep track of some things that are kind of in a circle. And what I want you to be in is I had an agent who said to me, you're working properly when you're always in the room with the same 20 people. Because that means they know what to do with you now. Okay. And so we're looking for who are these people? Who are these girls? What are they doing? And then I want you to look again at certain trends. What do their headshots look like? What outfits are they wearing? And here's a really important thing about this. You can decide to go with the trend or not go with the trend, but I want it to be a choice. Okay. When I looked at my hair and the way I was dressing, Audrey Moore, love a cute little haircut. And I love prints and cute stuff. Right. And it's hard for you. Yeah, I have to decide. Do I want to try this trend? Because you may try it and it may not work for you. And you just have to kind of be willing to try it or not try it. And you have to be willing to try it and try it long enough to collect enough data to know that the trend's actually not working for you. But that really means committing to it.
Okay.
And so here's a really great example of this. When you talked about the 90s and you were like, I was not the babelicious and I was not the gangster girlfriend. Okay, so that is a very specific awareness about yourself. And Juan Monsalves talked about the same thing on this podcast. He's a Hispanic male, came up in the 90s, and they also with him just wanted to be like a gangster because he's Hispanic. And like you, if you ever met Juan, you're like, you're just not, I just love you, but you're not a gangster. You're just not, right?
Right.
And so he made a choice to not get on board with that trend. And it took him longer to get some momentum. But that was his choice and his integrity. And I just want it to be known and to be chosen and not to do things because like you just kind of like them or don't like them.
Right. I listened to the episode.
So we're talk about that. I'll forever say it, okay?
Yeah.
I think something that would be really beneficial for you is to continue this practice of what you did for me, which is to put some of these roles on tape.
Okay.
Now, so you guys can get a sense, the roles that she put on tape for me to watch were a scene from The Rookie, a scene from 911, a scene from NCIS LA, Grey's Anatomy, and Bosch. So I want to go one by one because I didn't just watch what you did, I also went and watched them.
Oh!
So here's why, is because I wanted to sort of see what's so specific about Los Angeles being the Olympics is they don't just have to choose someone who's really good. And they don't have to choose someone who's good for the part. They choose someone who's perfect for their version of the story they want to tell with this part. And it really starts to split hairs on certain casting things that I think we really deserve to talk about for you in specific. Okay?
Great.
So the first thing is you had put on tape a role from Bosch, okay? I'll tell everyone what's happening in Bosch for this episode is that there's a woman whose job it is to manage a homeless facility wherein the homeless individuals store their belongings in giant-sized trash bins, and everybody gets assigned a bin where they keep all their stuff.
Yes.
Correct?
Exactly. And all the bins are in a room and they have to come and show ID to get their stuff.
Then what's happened is that Bosch and his partner come to see this woman to get inside of this one bin belonging to a homeless person because they were killed.
They are missing.
They're missing.
Yeah.
Okay, so this person is missing and they're going to go and take a look inside this bin to see if there's any answers. So this is your, I'd say, typical one-day guest star, possibly co-star, depending on how they wanted to do the billing. And that was something that I think you should check, right? What they're looking for is this person who, it's common in procedurals, like, let me just give you some information about what this is. And I think on the part of the writer, probably a really interesting opportunity to teach Americans who are watching about what the homelessness crisis really looks like and how this all goes down. It's a very powerful image, right? And I looked at your self-tape and I thought you did a great job. I was like, oh, I would cast her in this. And then I watched the girl who booked it. And I thought there was an important distinction between your casting. So do you remember the girl who did the performance?
I do.
Okay, so what can you tell me about this wonderful actress? She did a great job.
So I would describe her performance as being a blue-collar
I would agree.
performance.
That is exactly right. I think you are nothing less than master's to doctorate degree. I don't mind that for this part necessarily, but I could tell that they were telling a particular story. So this is a woman that I think was raised in some sort of lower economic status and is now in a position of authority.
Right.
But probably I would say the way it was performed was, maybe an associate's degree, social worker, something like that. But yes, very much of the people with the people helping the people. So when you sent that to me, what it says to me is that I don't think you have a clear understanding of the cards you're playing with.
Got it. And there were a couple of things that I ran into doing the exercise. As you probably see, I only self-taped roles that had gone with African-American
I think this was smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also only chose a particular size
Yes.
of role, right?
I'm also okay with that.
And so what happened genuinely is that I ran out of like, I couldn't find shooting in LA, current season, cast with an African American actor.
Right.
And so
Isn't that important? Can I just say to everyone, I really want everyone to hear that, because we're talking about market, and we're talking about how you fit in this market. And I'm asking you to look for evidence of you.
right.
And you have a long group of shows and you're like, not seeing a lot of me.
Yeah. And it was so I love that we're actually talking about this because, you know, earlier I said how exciting it is, everything that's happening and right. And so there has been for me this perception of, oh my gosh, there's so much going on. There's so much of me out there. When you had me do this exercise,
Yeah.
I was a little stunned
Yes.
by how hard it was to find, oh, they actually went with an African American woman in her 40s ish that seemed like it could be me. I definitely found some of the young, gorgeous hotties,
Right. Yes.
you know.
Yeah,
And then there were also like the truly elderly women.
and then there were leads.
And then there were the leads.
And the leads are sort of in your category, right?
And so I was in looking for doctors, lawyers, I was even excited to like looking for some teachers, you know, professors. Didn't find it.
I love this discussion because it's getting really honest about our marketplace and how it affects you. And when I said earlier about co-stars, guest stars, series regulars, this is what I was talking about, particularly for your casting. And the reason I had the inkling is because I watch so much television, and particularly what's shooting in the Los Angeles area. And I also had the feeling that I see you, but I see you in leads.
In leads. Me too.
I don't see as much of you in the filling out the cast. Right? We just take the data we have and we learn how we're going to manage it.
Okay.
Okay. Part of what I want you to do is to gather more. Right? I want to see as many as we can find. And I really want to encourage you to take a look at professions, to take a look at the casting directors, who's casting these worlds. And what I'm looking for is more than like one or two opportunities. So like I always loved Modern Family. I always thought Modern Family is fantastic. And I always thought, I'm great for Modern Family. And then I started realizing that the majority of Modern Family was the parents and then the kids. And there wasn't a lot of times when somebody in my actual age range, which was between that, was cast. And when they were cast, it was so infrequently that those actors were all just crushed me resume at that time when I was looking at all this, right? And so I could not focus on Modern Family. Though it was shooting in LA and though I thought the tone was good for me, I was like, actual number of opportunities per season, not that great.
Got it.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for. I'm looking for like, yeah, there was like 5 or 6. That's
Over the course of a
season. That's whose radar I want you to be on.
Okay.
That's the shows we're looking at. So if you get through your top 10 and you feel there's only actually 5 or 6, then add.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then go get more data.
Okay.
Okay. Because part of what I want to do for you is I really want to help mold all of your materials. Because of this casting that you have, we have a couple of things that I want us to clean up. I think you need new headshots.
Great.
But I don't want to get them without this information.
Okay.
Okay. And I want us to get a really good database of what the headshots of these actresses who are booking look like.
Okay.
I think it's important. And again, just for information, because I don't want you to go against the trend or not go against the trend. I want us to know what the trend is. And then let's ask ourselves. The trend may also be that these women have been working here for the last 15 years, so their headshots aren't important.
Right.
Let's know that. There may be 1 or 2 actresses that you see that are like, oh, their resumes are like kind of okay, but not huge. And their headshots look like this. And we can go like, oh, okay, so that may be a headshot that helped get them in. Okay. But wait, Miata, wait. I just adore you. but I have to interrupt you.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you shit you didn't know about your union.
This new show rundown is brought to you by Greg Saffel at singinglessonslosangeles.com. That's singinglessonslosangeles.com. Everybody that I send to Greg just writes me back and is like, Greg is the best. He's so good. He's so kind. He's so skilled. And I just want you to know that if you are a singer, whether it's vocal issues in your speaking voice, whether it's some growth that you want in your singing voice, whether it's resonance, vocal fry, nasality, any of those issues, he's really great at it. If you have an accent addiction thing that you want to work on, then I couldn't recommend him more highly. He's so good. And many people, especially, in Los Angeles, we need voice lessons. It's a real thing here. It gives you some presence that is beyond than just your physical appearance. We use body and voice as actors, so you need to have a voice that is as facile and versatile as the things that you might do physically to change yourself for characters physically. All right, that's singinglessonslosangeles.com. That's singinglessonslosangeles.com. If you are out of state, he can also do it with you over the computer device or I think it's a mobile device. I'm not sure. But he can work with you if you are out of state. Okay, so for the new show rundown, we have a few really great ones that I think everybody should know about in specific that I think are sort of little gems that I think are good for a lot of you to know about. Okay, so there's one that's called The Big Leap. So The Big Leap is based off of a BBC or Channel 4 documentary series called Big Ballet. The original documentary was based on a group of plus-size ladies and men who were told that they were too big to be professional dancers. And so they've gone on with their lives and they're living these normal lives. And then they start this documentary to find dancers and cast them in Swan Lake despite their age and their size. And I think this is so great. It's such a great message. And I know a lot of you are dancers and many of you are older than 22 and are also maybe not a size 0. You're maybe in the plus size category. This is such a great opportunity for you. They're very much, it seems, going to be doing diversity of age, diversity of ethnicity, diversity of body type. So if you have a passion for dance, I really recommend taking a look at that. So that's going to be The Big Leap. Obviously, they're going to be looking for some trained dancers who are also great actors. And I'm guessing maybe that's you. That is, I believe, going to shoot in Los Angeles, but, maybe they'll fly people because, who knows, although Los Angeles, we have a lot of dancers here. But give it a go. Why not New York? Okay, another really cool one that I thought was really exciting is one called This Country. It's another BBC sort of knockoff. It's created by Paul Feig. If you don't know who Paul Feig is, please Google that because he is only a genius. And this is going to be a great opportunity for anyone whose casting is maybe Middle America, poverty. So you should watch the BBC series. It's on Hulu and it's so great. It's called This Country. I didn't watch it until I found out they were doing this, and I've blown through them because they are so funny. It's about a pair of cousins, both very young, and just, they are, we'll just say, a couple tools short in the toolbox, as my dad used to say. Is that what he used to say? A couple tools short of a full toolbox. It's a great casting for me, you guys. So if that's a casting that you think would be really good for you, if, small rural town in the United States sounds like a good world for you, then I say, give it a go. Should we do one more, Josie? Yeah. Okay, there's another really cool one. It's called Debris. And this is by the same creator who did Fringe. And it's a really cool, sci-fi, Fringe was kind of like the next X-Files, and this is similar. It's very cool. You can look it up on Deadline. 2 agents from 2 different continents and 2 different mindsets must work together to investigate when wreckage from a destroyed alien spacecraft has mysterious effects on humankind. OMG. So if X-Files-y, fringy, cool, alien stuff sounds good to you, that is shooting in Vancouver. So I'm sure they're going to be casting the leads likely out of New York and Los Angeles, and then filling out the cast in good old Canada. So hello up there to all of you in Canada. Is that how you say Canada with a Canadian accent? Oh, Canada. Okay, I have a good Canadian. I don't know how to say Canada in a Canadian accent. Oh, Canada. I just know their O's are so long. You know, they just got such long O's. Okay. All right, you guys, that's it for the new show rundown. So I hope you're on deadline all day. I hope that you're on The Hollywood Reporter and listening to the Top 5 by The Hollywood Reporter to find out what is going down.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
You also have a lot of personal relationships. So when I'm going and looking into an actor impinging into this business, I'm looking at materials, our headshot and reel. I'm looking at casting in this market, which is what you and I just talked about. How many roles are there for you in this market at this moment? And then I'm looking at relationships big time. It's a huge advantage if you have relationships, okay? And then I'm looking at execution. So execution is this thing I was talking about story. And I just think we have some hours to put in terms of your information in all these categories. That's all.
Absolutely.
Gathering data. Okay, so I would like new headshots, and it's actually just because your headshots are very interesting. It's like it doesn't pop. Your brightness doesn't pop. Is how I feel. Do you feel that? Have you seen that?
Yeah, definitely. And I also, when we're ready for me to take them,
Sure.
I really struggle with headshots.
Great.
I really do.
Yeah, and that's really important to know.
Yeah. I am deeply uncomfortable.
Okay, cool.
Just getting my picture taken. And I mean, I try.
Sure.
Have
Have you had people come with you?
No.
Okay, great. So I can tell you this really great trick.
Yeah.
So for people who are uncomfortable getting their headshot taken, I recommend bringing your husband. I recommend coming with your kids. I recommend come with your best friend.
Right.
I will have a shot of something in my coffee, just like one.
Right.
And listen, I take my headshots at 7 a.m. so they don't interfere with actual auditions. But I show up at 7 a.m. I have a coffee. I don't drink coffee, but I'm just looking for I just like to be alive, right? And so while she's doing my makeup, I drink my coffee. I have a shot of vodka. I don't need to bring a friend, but I know plenty of people who do. And bring a friend. Bring somebody that's going to help you feel comfortable. Another thing that happens is it can be hard for you to stand up for yourself in a headshot session of like what you're looking for and what you need. Yeah. If you feel like that's not the look I'm looking for, and you don't have the guts or the courage to tell the headshot photographer, you just give that look to your friend, like, help me look. Right. And then they'll be like, well, I wonder if that's really the look that we're looking for. Miata, is that the look that you're looking for? And then you can say, actually, I mean, I'm kind of feeling like I hear what you're saying, and you can sort of figure it out a little bit, right? But if you have a hard time, then let's set ourselves up to succeed. Okay?
Yeah.
Great.
And it's also that this is where the homework comes in, right? I have to know what I'm looking for.
That's exactly right. The days of like, I'm just going to wear like the things that make me comfortable and my happiest things, they're done. They're done, you guys. Now, okay, they're not done. It's for a very particular kind of casting and a particular kind of thing that I don't have like a magical recipe to tell people like, if you're this, then it's that, right? There is certainly a trend for certain types of casting in certain people that they're more editorial now. They look like you opened up a magazine and that's the picture. That's the trend that's happening right now. I don't think that's your trend, but I also think like, let's collect the data.
Right. Okay.
So your footage, you have a couple of pieces that I'm going to tell you to lose because we don't have the turnaround. So this was a trend that happened a few years ago of shooting footage. There's a company that did really solid footage, but it didn't do the turnaround.
No.
So here's what I want you guys to know about that footage is I'll give you maybe 15 seconds of one of those at one point, because I can maybe believe somebody has some kind of monologue where they don't turn around to the other character once. And anything outside of that smells like made for real.
Right.
I don't think that you need it. I mean, I think probably we would be better served by having your connections that are already well in place and having your husband and yourself and, whoever shoot something that is, that has a turnaround.
Yeah.
Part of what I want you looking at is I want you looking at these other actresses who are getting these roles and look at what their reels look like.
Okay.
Okay. So when you see a role on your list and and you think it's good for you, right? I do want you to self-tape it.
Okay.
I want you to hold on it. And we'll talk a little bit about execution because in your self-tape, you had the self-tape from NCIS, which I thought was really great. You were not dressed the way that character would be dressed. And my experience is that you have to be. Because here's the thing, Miata, you're not going to have time. If you get an audition for a service person, you, Miata, are not going to have time to go get that service person outfit.
Right.
And you need to go get that shirt when the stakes aren't high because then you have it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So doing the research, in other words, to pick up the pieces that I seem to most
To be
likely
missing.
need.
Yeah. A really good, expensive suit.
Mm-hmm.
Like this woman runs the hospital. Right? And it's expensive because in order to run the hospital and get the suit, it's that expensive suit. And then you have to go get it tailored.
Right.
And then it has to be ready because if you wait till you get the audition, you're screwed.
Yes.
You're just not going to have time. There are some people out there that will, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So it's all this prep work beforehand, right? That's what we're doing is we're prepping for you to start welcoming auditions and being really prepared for them. The other thing I'd like for us to do is I'd like for you to make a list of all these relationships that you have
Okay.
and see how many of them can align with your target shows. Then I want to talk about execution. I think that you, Miata, are an extremely emotional person, but your work is coming off more clinical and less emotional.
Less emotional.
Okay. Do you know that that's happening?
Yes. Yes.
I always get so nervous when I talk to an actor about their work because I know it's the most emotional thing. And then every time actors are like, yeah, no, I know. And I'm so relieved.
I absolutely do know.
I hypothesize that when you actually get emotional material, that you crush it all day, all the way. But it's this bridge between the clinical material, which I think you're going to get a lot of opportunities for.
Right.
And bringing the emotion to the clinical,
Yes.
That's a little less practiced.
Yes. Yes. That's it. And I think it is also, for me, the transition from stage to screen.
Yes.
Because I feel like I've learned and I'm comfortable taking a character on stage. And then the minute again, because I don't have a lot of experience with the camera.
Yes, right.
I feel like I go to my sort of technical training and it does become clinical but the emotion isn't there.
Which is so fascinating because I think you're a really emotional person, right? And also I'm going to wager it's actually part of fight or flight, is my guess. Because when I'm in, I'll speak for myself, when I'm in fight or flight, which happens in this career, the emotional variance and resonance starts to leave because we're just like, hope I don't die.
Right.
Right? So first of all, I would say that a lot of your showrunners are emotional showrunners. Shonda is an emotional showrunner. Ryan it's emotional work, right? And so if you know that they're not pulling out cold and clinical, they're pulling out emotionally full, that it would be worth it for you to at this moment really make sure that's nailed. And that to me is going to be just hours. And we can go one of two ways, okay? For somebody like you, I think it could be extremely beneficial for you to be working privately one-on-one with a coach. Okay. Not being in class, it will go a little faster if you can find the time, energy, and money to work with a coach. I don't need it to go that fast. But I want to be real with you about the truth of that.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if you know that a ticket to the show for you is jargon and lots of dialogue, and that you have a current habit, which is all that it is, of delivering the information and not having as much emotional depth to what is, I think, a really easy thing to do. It's easy to not fill it with the emotion because you're getting the facts across, right? I think that's the tricky thing about those roles is they seem deceptively like, oh, I'll just like say all this stuff and say it correctly, right? I also don't know that it's going to be a lot for you, like 6 privates where you really get that thing nailed. Does that make sense to you?
It absolutely does. And I think just given my life, I feel like one-on-one with a coach makes the most sense.
And yeah, that's what I love is it's like for a lot of you, you know how to act. You're trained. You've been doing this for a long time. And I'm not going to be like, go get an acting class. Like that's a particular thing for some people. For a lot of you, I'm like, go get an acting class. But at your level, we're really talking about a refined thing here that I just want us to have so nailed.
Got it.
So that way, once these opportunities start coming in, you're like, oh yeah, that. And also, I like for you to have a coach so that when you go and work with coaches, I recommend working them for auditions. I work with a coach for every audition, every single one, okay? I think it's important to have built a dynamic with somebody before you need it.
So much amazing work.
So much work to do. So you can see there's plenty to do.
Absolutely.
Right? And this is, for me, part 1 for you.
Okay.
So I'd like for us to do is have this be our part 1 journey. And I think 15 hours a week is a solid place to try and hit every, for the next, let's say, 4 months. Okay. If we can hit in the next 4 months that, I think that would be good. And if you could find some real data to actually work with these headshots and stuff, that would be good.
Yeah.
And then I'd love for us to have you back on. And let's just sort of see what we can find.
See the journey.
Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, gosh. I don't have questions for you. I feel like I am really kind of so full of gratitude right now around this guidance. I'm excited.
Good. I'm excited for you.
I'm sure I'll have questions as I dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, great. Excellent. And why acting?
I genuinely love the work. I so love being able to dive into a character and to tell a story. I discovered acting late. I really was in college before I even tried serious acting, right? It had all been musicals, singing, dancing, and I just fell in love with it.
Exactly. Great. What is the best part about this business for you?
I think for me, it is tied to your first question about why acting. I love the work. I love telling stories. I love watching other people tell stories. You know. So yeah, I love that part.
Yeah, nerding out on all that. Yeah, me too. What is the worst part about this business for you?
Audrey, at this moment, I don't have an answer to that question because at this moment, there is no worst part for me. It took me,
a lot of preparation. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I really do not want this to in any way sound, I don't know, like, oh, yay me or anything like that. But I am so grateful for the life that I have right now. And I feel like I've worked really hard to have it.
Yeah.
But I have the most amazing husband and children, and I have work that I genuinely love doing, that I feel I am making a difference in the world. I have amazing friends and people who love me and support me in my life. So for me, I also love this work.
Yes.
And I genuinely believe I can do it on a much higher and bigger level and stage. So I'm excited to get to really go for that again.
Yeah.
I don't love, I'm social media makes me anxious. Like, I'm like, how do you do it? I saw that you Instagrammed some stuff about me.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh, God.
what am I supposed to do? So there's those elements where I'm like, I got to figure this stuff out. I don't know.
I don't know what you do. I also don't know that that's true for your category.
Yeah.
I think there's an expectation on a 25-year-old that there just isn't going to be on you.
On me,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't think so.
So, but for now, I'm just like, this is fun.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. What do you wish somebody had managed to teach you or get you to understand when you were just a wee babe entering this business?
Oh, well, that's not hard. Well, that's not hard. Although, I probably wouldn't be sitting here where I am right now. But God, do I wish that someone, honestly, Audrey, had been doing the work I do now and the work you do now. Because I always was eager to learn.
That's how I felt.
And I would
Just show me.
Just show me.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I had gotten here and someone had said to me, there is a class about money and you need to get in that class and you need to really understand what this is going to take, I would have been there.
I know you would have.
Yes. But my class about money, sadly, was $80,000 in credit card debt.
Yeah,
You know
right.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
right. Yeah.
And with the business part, I feel like I tried to buy the books. I was at Samuel French and I bought the stack and I would underline and I would take notes and I'd go to movies and I'd write down who cast it. But I didn't know how to put that together in something that wasn't a throw spaghetti against the wall kind of way.
Yeah.
That's what I wish. I wish that there had been real transparency and stories that weren't, she had 32 cents in her bank account and then she landed her big part.
Dream roll, yeah.
I wish there'd been more stories about people who put in the work.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say one of my greatest intentions through the podcast is demystifying the magic. I hope that people can see that what I can really see and have seen through the career and my own experience and watching everyone else's, how much it really is. It's the Olympics. You just work for a really long time with the best people and you sacrifice a lot to be one of the best. And even still, it cannot work out for you on that day. And that happens all the time. And you just do your best. But it is not, for what I can see as far as a consistent, successful career, not one that just pops, but one that maintains. It is a tremendous amount of continual work.
Yeah.
And hopefully enjoyable work.
Yeah.
Right? Great.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
Yes, you're so welcome. And I'm so glad we could do this. One of the reasons why Miata and I really wanted to do this, everyone, was because, as a woman who's standing in front of a bunch of actors talking about being a working actor and also financial health, that there becomes a point where leading by example is important.
Yeah.
And I do think it's easy to sit up there, for me, taking your thing and be like, oh, well, sure, you're in financial health because you have the time to take care of your financial health because you've made financial health a priority, right? And I really want more examples of us who are working, managing our financial health, managing our health, managing our relationships, right?
Yeah.
Not solving,
right,
but managing.
And for me, in a way, that's sort of why I feel so happy that you and I met, because my whole mission is, how can we stand in abundance in all of these relationships in our lives, right? And you said them. It's our relationship with time, our relationship with money, our relationship with our creative careers, our relationship with other people,
100%,
and our relationships with ourselves, right? Health and all of that stuff. And I think that inevitably, we are never going to be rock stars at all of them. But we have to recognize that all of those relationships exist. And so what I know in the past is that, and I see this with so many of my clients, we're only acknowledging the relationship with our creative selves.
Yes.
And then our creative selves end up suffering, right? And what I am clear on for myself is that stopped working, right? So then I had to really start honoring the fact that I have a relationship with money. And I think I created a lot of support for myself by making sure I have a strong relationship with other people and a strong relationship with family and love. And the creative part, it's been like, okay, let me try this. Let me try this, you know. And now I just feel like you are giving me this gift of this is where your limited time that you have, make it count.
Yes.
Right?
That's right.
Make it count.
Yes. And to that end, I don't want you doing any writing of anything. I want none of that. Okay?
Yeah.
You're doing this.
No, this is what I'm doing.
If I didn't say it, I would worry that I didn't say it. This is it.
Yeah.
Okay?
This is what
To
I'm
other people, I'm not saying that for you, but for you. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so happy that you could join us.
Thank you for having me.
And I look forward to having you back.
Yeah.
I think this will be great, and we'll just update it.
Follow my journey.
Yes! Yay! Next week on Audrey Helps Actors, we have a listener question extravaganza. You guys, I know that you think that the listener question episodes are just like me being like, meh, so listener questions. We spend a lot of time editing and sleuthing the listener questions. We have the great, the one, the only Falkenzi Henschel back to do listener questions with us. So it's not just me answering them, but you've got another little voice able to give you some information. So that's next week. Listener question extravaganza. All right, thank you so much, Miata, for coming over and doing another episode with us. I'm so happy. You know, can't you just tell that we love each other, you guys? Miata and Audrey love each other. So thank you so much for your courage. I can't wait to catch up with you and find out how these last few months have been. And we'll just have you back. I'm excited to sort of help you track this journey. And I'm just really excited about the perspective and growth that a lot of actors will be able to get out of this. So thank you. Big thanks to our first draft editor, Patricia Cuffie-Jones. Also, Thomas Snodgrass. He doesn't live across the street anymore, but luckily the internet exists. And also to my executive producer and husband, still so handsome, you guys, Jesse Lumen, the one, the only, the rock star. Show music is brought to you by Ari De Niro, and our theme song assistance is still brought to you by Aalok Mehta and 108 Hill. All right, you guys, don't forget your towel.